Assalamu alaikum. This is me, dietitian Manur, and in today's video, we're gonna discuss about the cardiovascular system. In this video, we will discuss the layers and chambers of heart, and also we will discuss the blood flow. And in other video, we will discuss the physiology of the heart in part two. But mainly in this video, we're gonna discuss the gross anatomy of the heart. So let's begin. The cardiovascular system. First of all, we will look towards the introduction of the cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system, organ system that distributes the blood to all parts of your body. Major function transportation, using the blood as the transport vehicle. This system carries oxygen, nutrients, cell waste, hormones, and other substances vital for the body, hemostasis to and form cells. The force to move the blood around the body is provided by the pumping heart and blood pressure. Let's study the gross anatomy of the heart. Heart. The human heart is approximately the size of a fist and weighs less than a pound. It is enclosed with the inferior mediastinum, the medial cavity of the thorax, and flanked on each side by the lungs. The pointed apex is directed towards the left hips and rests at about the fifth intercostal space. The broad aspect or base points towards the right shoulder and lies beneath the second rib. The heart is enclosed by a double-walled sac called pericardium. The superficial, loosely fitted part is called fibrous pericardium. Protects and anchors the heart. As we can easily understand the label diagram of the heart, in which we can see that pericardium is labeled, and also we can see the pericardial fluid inside the layer of pericardium, which is moving inside the layer of the pericardium. Deep to the fibrous pericardium is the slippery two-layer serous pericardium, the parietal layer that lines the interior of the fibrous pericardium. We can easily understand this by looking towards the diagram displayed on the screen. The parietal layer attaches to the large arteries, leaving the heart, and then makes U-turn and continues inferiorly over the heart surface as the vesicular layer or epicardium. Okay, let me zoom the diagram. Okay, yeah, now we can understand the layers of the heart. Here lies the fibrous layer on my left side, and then there is parietal pericardium, and then there is the vesicular pericardium, and after that there is the pericardial cavity between it, and then there lies a myocardium, and then there lies the endocardium. A slippery lubricating fluid is produced by the serous pericardial membranes, which allows the heart to beat easily in a relative frictionless environment. Inflammation of pericardium, pericarditis, often results in a decrease in the serous fluid. They cause the pericardial layers to stick, forming painful adhesions that interfere with the heart movement. As we can understand this through given diagram, the heart walls are composed of three layers. Now we're going to discuss the three main layers of heart. The outer layer is the pericardium. Before pericardium, there is, as we have learned before, that before epicardium, there is another layer which is known as pericardium. Then there is outer layer, epicardium. Then there is myocardium, and then there is endocardium. Let's study them in detail. The myocardium consists of thick bundles of the cardiac muscle twisted into the ring-like arrangements. This is the layer of the heart that actually contracts, reinforced by the dense fibrous connective tissue, known as the heart skeleton. The endocardium is a thin, glistening sheet of the endothelium that lines the heart chambers, continuous with the lining of the blood vessels leaving and entering the heart. Okay, now we're going to discuss the chambers of heart. As we all know that there are four hollow chambers of heart, two atria that receiving chambers and two ventricles that are the filling chambers. Blood flows into the atria under the low pressure from the veins and continues into the ventricles. The ventricles are thick walled discharging chambers. They are the pump of the heart. When they contract, the blood is propelled out of the heart and into circulation. The right ventricle forms the most of the heart's interior surface. The left ventricle forms the apex of the heart. The septum that divides the heart longitudinally is the interventricular septum or intra, intratrial septum based on the chambers it separates. As we can easily understand this by looking towards the diagram which is displayed on the screen. The heart functions as the double pump. The right side works as the pulmonary circuit pump, receives relatively oxygen poor blood from the veins of the body through the large superior and inferior vena cava. The blood then pumps out through the pulmonary trunk, which splits into the left and right pulmonary arteries. The pulmonary arteries carries the blood to the lungs when oxygen is picked up and carbon dioxide is unloaded. We can understand this by looking towards the diagram displayed on the screen. Okay, oxygen-rich blood drains from the lungs and it returns to the left side of the heart through the four pulmonary veins. This circuit is called pulmonary circulation. Its only function is to carry the blood to the lungs for the gas exchange and then return it to the heart. Okay, here we can understand it. We can look towards the diagram displayed. Pulmonary circuit is shown. The blood returns to the left side of the heart is pumped out of the heart into aorta. The systematic arteries branch from the aorta to supply the body tissues with the blood. Oxygen poor blood circulates from the tissue back to the right atrium via the systematic veins, which empty their blood into either the superior or inferior vena cava. The second circuit from the left side of the heart through the body tissues and back to the right side of the heart is known as systematic circulation. It supplies the oxygen and nutrient rich blood to all parts of the body. Because the left ventricle is the systematic pump that pumps the blood over a much longer pathway through the body, its walls are thicker than those of the right ventricle. It is a more powerful pump. The heart also has four valves. Now we are going to discuss the four valves of the heart. Two that separates the atria from the ventricles, two that separates the ventricles from the arteries. All of these valves prevent backflow. The atrioventricular valve are between the atria and ventricles. On the left is the bicuspid or mitral valve. On the right is the tricuspid valve. They are all anchored by the chordae tendineae. When the heart is relaxed and blood is specifically filling its chambers, the AV valve flaps hangs limply into the ventricles. As the ventricles contract, they press on the blood in their chambers and intraventricular pressure rises. The semilunar valve guard the bases of the large arteries leaving the ventricular chambers. On the right is the pulmonary valve. On the left is the aortic valve. When the ventricles are contracting, these valves are forced open and flattened against the atrial walls. When the ventricles are relaxed, the blood flows back towards the heart. This prevents the atrial blood from re-entering the heart. Okay, here they have given little bit description of the cardiac cycle. The coronary arteries branch from the base of the aorta and encircles the heart in the coronary sulcus. AV groove at the junction of the atria and ventricles. Okay. The coronary arteries and their major branches are compressed when the ventricles are contracting and fill when the heart is relaxed. As we can understand this by looking towards the diagram, the tricuspid and bicuspid valves are open. Semilunar valve is also open, and ventricle contracts, forcing the blood out of the aorta and pulmonary arteries. The myocardium is drained by the several cardiac veins which empties into the coronary sinus. The coronary sinus in turn empties into the right atrium. When the heart beats rapidly, the myocardium can receive an adequate amount of blood. This can result in crushing chest pain known as angina pectoris. Angina pectoris is a type of temporary chest pain or pressure or discomfort that may result in the heart muscle is not receiving when heart muscle is not receiving enough oxygen. Pain due to angina pectoris is a warning sign. If angina is prolonged, oxygen deprived heart cells may die, form an infarct. The resulting is the myocardial infarction is known as heart attack. So this was all for today. In next video, we're going to discuss the physiology of heart. We will discuss the basic physiology of heart. Hope you liked the video. Do not forget to subscribe and like the channel. Thank you very much.